In today's video tutorial, we're going to be talking about the smock stitch. Now, this is an incredibly beautiful stitch and very versatile, as you can see from these two samples. In this first sample, this is my Diamonds in the Rough shawl. This is the smock stitch in the bottom part in a single color. So this is just one variant right here that gives you this beautiful pattern. Then in this part, I've actually faded in a solid light blue. So you can kind of see that this goes from like the brighter colors to more of a sedated color. And this is how you do the smock stitch on a fade, which I'll show you today. In addition, you can also do the smock stitch in the round. Now, I'll have a separate video tutorial on how to do Tunisian crochet in the round, but this is what it looks like when you use one color on the forward pass and another color on the return pass. And this is my Siren Song cowl that will be coming out soon. So we'll be talking about these two ways to do the smock stitch in this video, and I will have a separate tutorial on this one, but I just wanted to show you how beautiful and how versatile the smock stitch is. To begin, I'm going to be using the smock stitch first in this one color, and then I'm going to fade in this other color to show you. So I'm going to put this color aside for now. I'm using some sock weight or fingering yarn in the color Steady by the Frosted Stitch, and I have a 5mm Tunisian crochet hook to begin. So I've made a chain of 20, and the reason for that is when you're doing the smock stitch, you want to work in an even number of chains. So I've chained 20, and I'm going to go ahead and skipping the first chain from the hook. In the second loop, I'm going to work in the back bump and pick up a loop. And I'm just going to keep doing this across. And then when I get to the end, I'll do my standard return pass. And I'll meet you and show you the next steps. So to do my standard return pass, I'm going to yarn over, pull through 1, and then yarn over, pull through 2, pull through 2. And I'm going to keep doing this until I get to the end. Then I'll come back and show you the next step. Here I have my starting row for Tunisian crochet, and I have 20 stitches. So I'm going to go ahead and am going to do a series of steps together. So the smock stitch is made up of doing a Tunisian simple stitch 2 together and then a yarn under in that order. So I'm going to go through 2 stitches, 1 and 2, 1 and 2. I'm going to pull up a loop, and then I'm going to yarn under. And to yarn under, you bring the hook, you bring the yarn to the front, and you want to go ahead and put your finger on there to hold it. So I'm going to hold that in place, and then I'm going to do another. I'm going to start my next stitch, Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, keeping my finger on that, yarn under the whole time, and then I'm going to yarn under again. Now I'm going to do my next 2, and it's really important that you keep your finger on there and you don't let go. If you let go, it's going to turn into a purl stitch. So yarn under 2 together, and then Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, yarn under. And then I'm going to do my next 2, just like that, and then yarn under. And remember, we're always going to end with the yarn under, and that'll be important when we get to our last stitch so we don't forget. 2 together, 2 together, yarn under, 2 together, yarn under, and then we have our last 2. I'm holding my finger on the yarn under, 2 together, yarn under, and then I'm going to yarn under again, keep my finger on there before I do my last Tunisian stitch, and then that's it. Then I'm going to go ahead and do my return pass. I'll do this and meet you back. So I finished my return pass, and you can see how my yarn is working out. Now I'm going to go ahead and do row 2 of our 2-row repeat. And now in this case, we want to just start with the simple stitch. So I'm going to go ahead, pull up a loop, and there is no yarn under. This is by itself. Then in my next 2, and you can kind of see here the stitches, I'm going to pull these 2 together. So here's my first stitch. Here's my second. I'm going to pull up a loop, yarn under, and that is my 2-part step for the stitch. Then I'm going to get the next 2 stitches together and yarn under. I'm going to do one more, then I'm going to stop and show you a little bit. about the pattern. So as you can see here, here's the first row where we put a 2 together. And what that did is it separated out the stitches because we have our 2 together stitch and then we have our yarn under. So now we're picking up those 2 stitches here and here together. And what that's going to do is it's going to bring these 2 together and make another V. So we're making a series of offset V's essentially as we work through this pattern. So I'm going to go ahead, pick up my yarn. I have to have my yarn under, and then I'm going to pick up the stitch. Go back, yarn under, pick up the stitch, next 2 Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, yarn under, pick up the stitch, and then yarn under and pick up the stitch. And then we'll do one more. And then we're going to do our yarn under, and then we have just 1 stitch left in our return pass. And I'm going to go ahead and pick up that simple stitch just by itself, keeping my finger on the yarn under, and then doing my last Tunisian stitch. Just like that. So I'm going to do my return pass, and then I'll show you one more time how we do the row 1 repeat. So after finishing row 2, I'm going to go ahead and now we're going to go back to our row 1 repeat. So we're going to just start with the simple stitch 2 together and the yarn under directly. And again, we're going to be grabbing those 2 stitches just like that, yarning under, grabbing the 2 stitches just like that, yarning under, and I'm going to keep doing this, and then I'm going to do a few more row repeats, and then I'm going to come back and show you what it looks like, and then I'll show you how we're going to introduce our second color. So I finished a row 2 repeat, and now I'm going to go ahead and add in my second color. Now there's 2 ways to add in a color. You can do them on the forward pass if you want more of a striping version. If you want more of a subtler fade, you can do them on the return pass, and I'm going to do it on the return pass. I'm using this color by the Frosted Stitch. Picked a color that has a really nice contrast to it, so you'll be able to very clearly see the differences in the colors. So I'm going to go ahead and we're going to just go ahead and use this on the return pass. So pull up a loop 1 and then 2. And I'm going to continue this return pass, and then I'll meet you back to show you how we're going to do the forward pass. So now we're going to do our forward pass, and we're going to stay in color 2. So we're going to go ahead and Tunisian simple stitch 2 together, yarn under, simple stitch 2 together, yarn under, and we're going to keep going. I'm going to do this until we get to the end, and then we're going to change colors on the return pass again. Okay, so I'm just getting back to my last stitch here, and now I'm going to drop color 2, and I'm going to pick up color 1 for the return pass, just like that. So I'll do the return pass, and then for color 1, color 1's going to follow the row 2 repeat. So I'm going to do that. So I'll start with the simple stitch before I do my simple stitch 2 together, yarn under. I'm going to do a couple of these rows where I'm going to mix the 2 colors together. So then I'll come back and show you what it looks like. So here I finished a few rows, and you can see what the difference is in terms of how the colors work together. I really like 2 colors together, especially when you do the color changes on the left side to give it more of a subtle return. Otherwise, you'll just get solid stripes, which is also going to be pretty. So a couple things about this mock stitch. This is a really nice light fabric that it creates with a lot of stretch, so this is great for just about anything you want to use it for. You'll notice, just in case, that when you flip it over, there are little X's on the back. I wouldn't worry about those unless you're working it in the round, and I'll have more details on that in my video for the Siren Song Cowl. I hope you liked this video tutorial. If you did, please give it a thumbs up, and please do subscribe. It helps to grow the channel. Thank you, and happy crocheting!